Assalamu alaikum and welcome to all of you. This is a talk about style and stylistics. Stylistics, a branch of linguistics, is a literary theory which is employed for the interpretation and analysis of literary texts. Stylistic is a critical approach which uses the methods and findings of the science of linguistics and explains how the linguistic features of a literary work such as grammatical structure and sentences contribute to its overall meanings and effects. Stylistic is a critical practice which is based on how language works, how meanings can be extracted from a discourse. The application of stylistic is not confined to the analysis of literature, grammar, and vocabulary. It can also interpret how the text works as a whole to achieve its purpose of amusement, persuasion, and examining the linguistic features which contribute to some other sense as well. Stylistic is concerned with the possible significance of linguistic features in text, how they can be interpreted as representing an event or situation from a particular perspective or point of view. As a mode of distinctive manner of expression, stylistic explains the selection and argument of the words and their level of formality. Stylistics as the linguistic study of literary and non-literary style and literary approaches to criticism by extending the linguist's literary intuitions and observations and the philosophy and choices of language of a writer or a poet. Stylistic analysis involves tearing apart a text into its multifarious components to discover the function of each part or section and in pinpointing how author puts it all together to create an aesthetic whole. The stylisticians analyze a literary piece and derive meaning out of it and the distinctive employment of components of a language. Stylistic analysis is the extension of sense from a discourse. Through stylistics, textual and contextual sense of the patterns of words are unveiled to investigate the relationship between language and literature. Every analysis of style is an attempt to find the artistic principles underlying a writer's choice of language. All writers and texts have individual qualities. Wedusens takes the aspect of literature as text, context, and discourse. For the analysis of poetry and prose, he stresses on the markers of sender, addresser, addressee, and receiver. Stylistics and vocabulary. Write and hope give importance to the grammatical structure and the sequence of parts of the speech, and their focus of interest is syntax, semantics, analysis of noun phrases, verb phrases, clauses, text, structure, and so on. The approach of Verdonk, another stylistician, is for general readers, and his analytical tools are text, context, rhythm, tone, socio-cultural, political, religious, and ideological aspects. He considers the amalgamations of retrospect with logic and expression. Simpson extracts the meaning of discourse from dialogue and considers discourse a form of naturally occurring language in a pure social context and the potential interpretation extracted from the discourse. What stylistic critics do? The stylistic critics describe technical aspects of the language of a text such as grammatical structures and then implies this data in interpretation. The purpose of doing this is sometimes simply to provide objective linguistic data to support existing readings or intuitions about a literary work. The purpose of stylistic analysis is to establish a new reading which may be based on this linguistic data and may challenge or counter existing readings. Stylistics does not confine itself to the analysis of literature and often juxtaposes literary and other kinds of discourse as well. Stylistics move beyond sentence grammar are text grammar, considering how the text work as a whole to achieve its purpose, for instance, to amuse, to create a suspense, or to persuade, and examining the linguistic features which contribute to these ends. Methods of analysis. The analysis of style is to investigate the artistic principles underlying a writer's choice of language. All writers and texts have individual qualities according to their style. Linguistics and stylistic categories. We can investigate the lexical categories, that is the vocabulary and the related items, grammatical categories, figures of speech, text, context, and cohesion and coherence. All these features can be judged through stylistics. In the same way, in the lexical categories, we can discuss the general structure, the nouns and the noun phrases, adjectives and adjective phrases, verbs, adverbs, and the rest of parts of speech under the mirror of stylistics and style. Grammatical categories. In grammatical categories, we can discuss sentence type, sentence complexity, clause type, clause structure, noun phrases, verb phrases, and word classes or word choices. Figures of speech. We can identify figures of speech and make an analysis of the grammatical and textual, phonological schemes, imagery, sound, and structure. These references, you can learn from these references that the various books from where we have taken the above discussion, and for further reading you can study Style and Fiction by Leach and Short. In the same way, Paul Simpson's his book Stylistic Analysis or Stylistics, it's a useful reading. In the same way, the rest of the books and their references, they have been mentioned over here and you can refer to them. The book of Peter Verdonk and Widdowson's, they can also contribute to the study of stylistics and practical stylistics. This is also by Widdowson and you can study them. Thank you very much. This is the first part of the lecture, and in the coming lectures we will focus on some other aspects of style and stylistics. Thank you very much for your kind attention.